The thing was the AEW show this past week, the first match, Jon Moxley and Ortiz with Santana. Besides the fact I don't know why Justin Roberts herniates himself every time he introduces Jon Moxley. And by the way, that's another thing. When Dave wrote his obituary of me, he spent a page and a half about how dare he say these horrible things about Justin Roberts. Justin didn't do anything to deserve that. Remember when I said, hey, that fucking Justin Roberts, goddamn, that big smile and he's all dressed up in that tuxedo. I say offhandedly, he looks like he ought to be registered to be around kids, and went on because I was joking and we're laughing. He did a page and a half of it like he insinuated this. This is nobody believed from what we said that we even believed that was the case. But maybe because of what's going on in Dave's fucking head, he took it this way. But besides the fact that I think Ortiz and Santana need some kind of gear, they just look street clothes sloppy. And it's not even like the gangstas where they're not wearing tights, but they look like they should look. It just, I don't know. But the match was fine. Jericho on color was great. We got a Pampiro Firpo mention in. The match was fine. Moxley sold well. He made a nice comeback. I don't know why he throws like everybody else to business these days, throws those shitty forearms and not punches, because that's just bleh. But I thought that was the best that Ortiz had been, and the match made perfect sense, and Moxley hit one fucking DDT, one of his finishes, and won the match. That was fine. And then, I don't know, car keying him in the fucking eye, an eye for an eye. I don't know, these people are going to regain their sight, so I don't know whether we ought to be punching everybody's eye out on every show, but otherwise than that, there wasn't anything wrong with it, and it got the guy over. And it was against a heel that was an underling of the guy that he's really wanting to fucking fight. So, because Jericho was involved, and he knows what the fuck he's doing. Except when he has, I'm sure, his little play favorites amongst these little kids, and he gives them too much, like when he actually worked with Marco Stunt for a minute a couple weeks ago. But otherwise, Jericho's involved in it. Moxley, I'm sure, knows what he's doing because he's been in the big companies. He knows what gets over and what doesn't. He knows, he's got that garbage wrestling gene in him, the deathmatch thing that he wants to do, which, keeps me from full-blown endorsing him. But there was nothing wrong with this at all.
This was one of those things where when I said that there's a serious element that I really like, this is it. I think Jon Moxley is a fucking star. I think other than the garbage wrestling stuff, which I don't like, and that he seems to be a fan of, like you said, I think he's been presented in a great way. He's a much bigger star now, it seems, than he was in the WWE. At least it feels that way.
Yeah.
I think he's more important to that show than Kenny Omega.
He's a bigger fish in the show, even though the show's a little pond. He's a bigger fish than he was in the WWF. And you are correct about everything you just said.
And I think that this continues that feud. Again, there are things that Jericho's done on the show that I thought were too silly, and I've called him out for that here on the show. But the Jericho-Moxley program so far has been good. By the way, a little correction, because a lot of people did get in touch with us. Apparently, on that cruise, he did wear something over his eye.
Yes.
The entire time, and he deserves a lot of credit.
You stirred me up, because you looked at a picture where it didn't look like he was wearing anything.
Well, it looked like he was wearing sunglasses. But you know what? Give him a lot of credit for that. I think Jon Moxley is a big star there. They're using him in a great way. He comes across great. It was a good way to open the show. I wish there was more serious wrestling presentation like this on that show, but the show was bookended by serious stuff.
Well, and also, even though Moxley is a star, if there was somebody at the top that had the final say, the final foot put down, say, no, you're not going to, because all top guys at one time or another, every single one of them, whether it's Ric Flair or anybody, if left to their own devices without a Cowboy Bill Watts or a Dusty Rhodes or an Eddie Graham or somebody, will do something goofy or go too far. And if there was somebody that had the ultimate foot-putting down power that knew what the fuck they were doing, then Moxley would have never had that garbage match with Olivier and just made everything look like shit and buried himself in the process because it was so fucking contrived and phony and stupid and thumbtacks and bumps off of fucking whatever the fuck and all that shit. But when he's doing this, yes, he can get over.